I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about this horrible occurrence down in Orlando, and such a dark, dark cloud cannot be said to have a silver lining. But if anything good does come of it, it's in convincing folk like him of the common humanity we hold with members of the LGBT community. But then he says something made me doubt whether he had learned anything. He said, well, I feel sorry for them people, but God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Well, I could have responded to him in a number of ways. I could have pointed out to him that basically he's a homophobic dumbass, but when you talk to people that way, you tend to put them on the defensive, and they rarely come over to your point of view. So I dealt with it another way. I said, well, I think the question of human sexuality is a complex one. I don't think you deal with it properly when you quote from a bumper sticker you saw on the back of a beat-up old pickup truck in the mountains of East Tennessee, sitting in front of a redneck old hillbilly church with a sign out front saying, bring your own snake. And that's when he looked at me and said, well, you don't believe in the Bible. And I said, well, I do believe in the Bible, but I'm not what you call a Bible literalist. And he said, what does that mean? And I said, well, I think the Bible's the story of a culture's encounter with the divine, and their attempts to understand the divine as they walk with the divine, but I think they sometimes got things wrong. And he said, how could they have got things wrong? I said, well, think of that time in the Old Testament where the Lord supposedly told the children of Israel they was to go into this one territory and kill all the warriors and the women and the children, including the suckling babes and the old folk and livestock. Well, I think they kind of missed something in there. I think when they was beating on their war shields and blowing their war horns and whooping it up, that they missed the phrase, whatever you do, don't. And by missing that don't, they then did something that Lord knows they weren't supposed to do. Well, he didn't seem to be too convinced about that, and again accused me of not believing the Bible. But I ain't taking Bible advice from this fella. He's broken every commandment there is in my presence, with the exception of thou shalt not kill. Not so sure he ain't broken that one. And he's missed that little bit in the gospel where Jesus said that remarriage after divorce is adultery. You see, he's on his third marriage, and I think wife number 3 is on her way out. And I believe he found wife number 4 the other night when he stuck that $100 bill in that stripper's G-string. So no, I am not taking biblical advice from this fella. But he expressed to me the idea that the Bible is so perfect that perhaps we should base all our societal rules on the Bible. And I thought about it for a second, and I said, well, maybe I could go for that, because I could put my money into a rock quarry and make some real dough. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, let's take a couple things out of the Bible, put them together. Let's take that commandment that says that adultery is a sin. Then let's take that bit out of the book of Leviticus that said the punishment for adultery is to be stoned to death. And then let's take that little bit from Jesus in the gospel. He said, looking on a woman with impure thoughts amounts to adultery. Put all those 3 things together, and we're all guilty of adultery. And yes, that includes me. I mean, I'm as monogamous as you can be. Been monogamous since the night I met the woman who became my wife. Been married to her for over 30 years. But every now and then, once in a blue moon, some cute little thing go by, and I kind of glance over at her and think, boy, she sure can shake and bake. I mean, I'll never say nothing to her, never take no steps, but according to Jesus, I just committed adultery, and so stone me too. So I told him, well, here's how I'm going to make my money, though it won't do me no good. What we're going to do is we're going to pick a certain day and get the whole human race to gather at my rock quarry. I'm going to sell everyone rocks at $1 apiece. Then we're going to form a whole bunch of circles, maybe 100 persons in each circle. And at the count of 3, we'll all chunk a rock across the circle at somebody, try to hit him in the head. And those of us that survive will continue to form more circles till we're down to 1 circle, and then we'll be down to a circle of 50, then down a circle maybe 17, then down to circle 3. And whoever is left alive at the end is bash their own brains in. Well, he didn't seem to recognize the wisdom of, that societal system. So I said, well, there is another way we could go by the word of God and make it our social rules, and that is to just follow what Jesus said when he said all the laws are really wrapped up in just 2. One being, love God with all your heart, and the other being, love your neighbor as yourself. And then we can also toss in that judge not lest ye be judged thing. And then we'll be going by the Bible as the Word of God and as their social rules. And he looked at me and he thought he had me. And he said, well, you still got to admit, God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. And I said, no, friend, you're wrong there too. God made all four of them. And if you want to go up to the Almighty and said he made a mistake when he made the gay Adam and Steve, that's your business. Your relationship with the Almighty is between you and the Almighty, and it's got nothing to do with me. But if you do so, then in future, don't stand next to me during thunderstorms.